Welcome to TapEffect's presentation. My name is Nick Boroma. TapEffect is focused on tap water for rural households, and we do this through making distributed pipe water an attractive investment. Here is the table of contents. I'll cover the problem and our solution, our technology and projects, the business model that we use to implement these projects, our scaling up strategy, and the investment opportunity. But first, what is piped water? Well, piped water is safe, convenient, and reliable water supplied to households through a pipe network. It's tap water. It's the same as what you have when you turn the tap on in your home. And with this tap water, it is metered at the house, and households pay for the water that they consume. The water is taken from a river or a reservoir. It's put through a treatment plant where it is treated, and then it is pumped out through underground pipes to households where they can turn the tap on to have clean water. In Cambodia, there is a strong government support for the private sector to build and operate these pipe water systems, with companies able to receive a 20-year monopoly license to supply an area. The problem, though, is that access to safe water is difficult for rural areas. For example, in Cambodia, 12 million people live in rural areas, but only 15% have access to tap water. And the key barrier to pipe water systems in rural areas is access to finance. And this is due to projects being in hard to reach areas, small project sizes, and the low capacities in the areas to operate these systems. I'll now play a short video to provide further context. Access to piped water is not just a problem in Cambodia, but across Southeast Asia, there are at least 100 million people in rural areas that could be supplied with tap water were it available. And we think that TapEffect could connect at least 20 million of these with the TapEffect system. Just in Cambodia, there are about 8 million people in rural areas that could be supplied through a market-based approach. So if we can solve this problem, we're really solving a large problem that can be implemented across the region. But why did we choose Cambodia as a launch pad? That's because Cambodia is a dollarized economy. It has an open free market economy that is welcoming to foreign investment. It has seen GDP growth of greater than 7% per annum over the last 5 years. It has a median population age of only 24. And it offers this 20-year monopoly license for pipe water systems to be operated in a particular area. Our solution is to use a portfolio approach to develop pipe water systems. This means that we package multiple sites together and design, build and operate them as a single project. This helps to achieve economies of scale. Our strategy is about focusing on building systems, which allows us to develop efficient project deployment through a single focus on pipe water infrastructure. We also leverage technology, which allows us to reduce costs while supporting management of these remote systems. We have introduced billing and payment systems where the water operator can invoice households on site, then make the payments at payment centres, and we can track and manage this at the head office. The second tech strategy is about low-cost remote monitoring. We use sensors on pumps and flow meters to collect data that can be sent into the cloud and accessed from anywhere. This lets us determine if there are any issues on site that the water operator can then respond to. Our first project was our pilot project in the east of Cambodia in 2018, a small pipe water system which is still operating. Our second project is our first commercial system that we call our demonstration system. It's a $500,000 system that covers an area of about 14,000 people. The next project will be our first portfolio, where we will build 10 projects together worth about $10 million in infrastructure. This slide is a summary of our pilot system, and this project really allowed us to get our first customers and to gain experience with contractors. It's in the east of Cambodia in a province called Mondulkiri, and we built this in 2018 and it's still operating now. And this slide is a summary of our demonstration system. As well as the 14,000 people that the system covers, it also covers 10 schools and 2 healthcare facilities. It was funded through a mixture of debt, equity and viability gap funding. And we are now approaching the completion of the construction of this system. In terms of the system design, our demonstration system has over 60 kilometres of pipe. And again, water is treated and pumped out to households through the pipe water network. In this area, households were collecting water from ponds and rivers, like in this photo in the top right. So they are very keen to be connected to clean water. Here are a few photos of the system installation. And so we work with partners, contractors, that help us to install the system, and we also focus on community engagement to ensure that we have the support from households and to ensure that they're keen to connect to the network. We work with many partners for our projects, including finance partners. The Australian government provided the viability gap funding to bring down the capital cost of the project. And we have technology partners that help to bring in the water treatment plant and the pipe installations. And we also connected in with the development sector that can support on monitoring of the social impact achieved. If we compare our business model to buildings, an urban water utility is like a skyscraper. It's a large project that has a custom design and is managed by a high-skilled team. In comparison, a rural system is more like a suburban house. It's a small project owned by an individual without any skill in management. TapEffect, in contrast, still focuses on rural areas, but we use a central management model for managing these systems, and this allows us to bring in skilled teams and achieve economies of scale. The revenue model is that each system has about 1,000 to 10,000 households on the system. Each household then pays a one-off connection fee of about $70. From then on, households pay for the water that they consume with the water meter that meters the water at the house. And this works out to be about $5 per month per household. Our demonstration system, as an example, has about 2,000 households. It has a project cost after the viability gap funding of 300,000 and an expected annual revenue of about 120,000, which leads to a payback period of about 5 to 6 years. Each system has a very low marginal operational cost for each additional household, which really supports then increasing demand by households to connect to the system. So this is an important part of our solution. Our next project is the portfolio. This is a project of 10 systems with a combined infrastructure cost of approximately $10 million. We have been undertaking preliminary investigations of the target sites and have found that there are many potential locations to include in the portfolio. As Cambodia does not have a high pipe water coverage, so there are many suitable locations for new pipe water systems. This portfolio of systems will connect up over 200,000 people, covering 200 schools and approximately 40 healthcare facilities. The first part of our scaling strategy is to build and acquire new systems. We are now also piloting strategy number 2, which is to support existing operators to expand their systems. These operators face barriers to accessing finance and to creating demand to get households to connect to their system, and we can support them to overcome these barriers. The third strategy is about regional expansion to nearby countries, such as the Philippines and Myanmar, that also have a strong need for increased pipe water supply. We expect to start in these countries by building small pilot projects, just like what we did in Cambodia, which allows us to get to know contractors and the regulation of the country. This is the investment summary. We started off just bootstrapping the company before bringing in 300,000 in pre-seed investment at the end of last year. We are now currently looking for a further 300,000 for a seed investment, which will then go on to a Series A investment of 3 million at the end of 2021, which with this capital then being drawn down for the construction of the portfolio projects. So this slide goes into a bit more detail on the investment strategy. So along with the initial pre-seed raise of 300,000, we also brought in 200,000 of viability gap funding and 220,000 in debt. This was used for the construction of the demonstration project over the last year. We are now raising a further 300,000, which we will use over the next year to grow the company and to prepare the portfolio of 10 sites. We will then close our Series A and use this capital to build the portfolio. The current $300,000 investment opportunity is primarily for preparing the portfolio. This is critical for getting these projects to be investment ready, which involves having all engineering designs and costing completed, licensing completed, and all the capital commitments for the infrastructure in place. The funds will also be used to pilot the B2B approach and for technology development. In terms of an investor exit, we have had many initial discussions with international investors, and we see that as we scale and achieve economies of scale, we become more and more of an attractive investment target, offering multiple exit strategies through secondary share sales. We have a diverse team covering the skills needed to make the business succeed, from finance and engineering to community engagement and partnership development. My background is that I started my career in engineering, where I did a lot of project management on renewable energy power generation projects before moving into the finance sector, working on mergers and acquisitions and investment management, skills that support an infrastructure-focused business. This concludes TapEffect's presentation. Please do contact me if you have further questions. Thank you.